simultaneously on YouTube. The last minute here, I couldn't figure out how to make it my phone so it's this way. It should be the wrong. Anyway, we are live on both Liberty Tree Radio and YouTube on January. What do we got here? 7th, January 7th of 2026. My first show of this year on both networks, actually. So if you're listening on Liberty Tree Radio, which I am normally on every week, for those of you on YouTube, you don't know this, but every week I'm on a program called Liberty Tree Radio. It's a podcast I've been doing probably close to 20 years. I think before the name podcast was even a thing. And it's an audio, it's not a video. I've done video for at least 20 years, as also live TV and live radio. I've been doing it for a long time now. And unfortunately, sorry about the people watching on YouTube. If you're listening on Liberty Radio, it's a YouTube channel called Forbid TV. Forbid spelled with 2 Ds, no space between the forbid and TV. Show is called Forbidden Knowledge, and I do the show once a week if I can, and it's a dangerous show, and you'll see why. In fact, maybe on YouTube we'll get kicked off because a lot of words are being banned now or flagged. I notice people are saying a lot of weird names for things on YouTube to get the algorithm to cooperate and not cut them off. Words like PDF file, I'll figure out what that means. People are using PDF file instead of another word that governments apparently don't seem to like. What I'm going to try to do is, while I'm doing this here on the air, on live, on YouTube, I'm going to try to arrange this so I don't have to hold this thing. All right, that's going to work out better. All right, so got a lot on my list here today, things to look at, things to do, talk about. So many things are happening in the news. Things that are just happening here today, brand new today that have happening has been, and by the way, the live chat should be open for YouTube. I don't know. I haven't done this enough to know. Right now I'm using 2 phones to get this program going. One phone is strictly for Liberty Tree Radio. The other phone is strictly for YouTube. But just today we had happen. What we have happened today, boy, it's hard to keep up with all this because all the things that are going on today in our world politically has just been mind-blowing. Our country is on a huge decline, in my opinion, here. We're going to talk about all that. What happened today? Oh, yeah, a Russian ship seized, an oil tanker under Russian flag is seized now by the U.S. This could go in really bad directions. Start messing with the wrong people that can actually fight back. That could really be a bad news for you. But well, anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm not making any predictions here. Sanctions placed on oil tankers for whatever reason. I started looking up the legality of sanctions to begin with, and it's very gray. There's very much ambiguity and things that are. A lot of people don't agree with, a lot of legal experts don't agree with under international law about placing sanctions unilaterally on anything and anybody they want. Just because, Donald Trump is mad at somebody? Is kind of what this is about. And being able to kidnap presidents and leaders for other sovereign nations at will just because they want to? I'm not getting it. I'm not understanding what's going on here, other than the huge and rapid decline of my country, the United States, which I'm not agreeing with anything that's going on here. I can't believe any of you MAGA people are still hanging on to the idea of MAGA, because he's done the exact opposite of a lot of things and getting involved in all these wars. Wasn't he the guy that said, and I was going to pull this up and I didn't pull it up, and I'm not sure how easy I could do this with the 2 phones anyway, because I got a computer in front of me too. What was I not ready to talk about? The countries that Trump has made all sorts of promises that he's gone the other way on. One of the things that he was very hot about was to stop foreign intervention, stop all the wars. He'd stop that Ukraine war even before he was got into office. After he was elected, he was going to stop that war in Ukraine even before the day one that he was in office of the presidency on his second term. Here we are almost a year in, and he hasn't done any such thing. And all he has to do is, with one phone call, basically stop all weapons and money going into Ukraine. That would stop it immediately. And he could have stopped the Gaza thing immediately too by stopping all weapons and money going into Israel. Could have stopped it immediately, but he decided not to, no. And instead and how many countries has he bombed now? I made a list because I couldn't remember them all. Iran, Iraq, Nigeria, Somalia, Syria. These are all alphabetical order, by the way. Venezuela, Yemen. And as soon as he got in, day one, as soon as he got into office, what did he start doing? He started threatening Canada. Hello? Canada? Greenland? Panama? And now he's threatening a bunch of other countries. Cuba, Greenland again, Mexico, and Iran again. How do any of you MAGA people justify this? Now, I'm not saying that I was in favor of Kamala Harris being president, because I certainly was not. I don't, for those of you who know on Liberty Radio knows this, but a lot of you on YouTube don't know this, because I haven't made very many political videos, just a few live ones, and I haven't done a live one probably more than 6 months. I only put out like 1 or 2 videos a year where I do live nowadays. The algorithm doesn't favor me. So by the way, people on YouTube thumbs me up and maybe it'll help the algorithm. I have more than 18,000 subscribers, and yet I only get like a dozen people at a time on these live casts on YouTube. So the thumbs up may help. I don't know. The algorithm hates me. The algorithm decided years ago, because my channel has not grown at all. It grew pretty fast for a while. Then it completely stopped, leveled off. Something changed in the algorithm where YouTube decided, well, no, we don't like this guy. Maybe because I don't have anything monetized. You won't see me promoting anything here. You won't see me having any embedded commercials. On your Liberty Radio, I'm the same way. No commercials. I don't beg for money. I don't rarely even give out my websites for people to go to buy something from me. I rarely do any of that. My channels are not monetized. I don't take products from companies to make me say things that I probably shouldn't say. I'm trying to keep this channel on the level. And maybe that's the reason YouTube doesn't like me. I don't know. So what is this president doing? And we haven't seen this in my lifetime, this kind of blatant disregard for not only international law, but constitutional law, laws of our own country. The country he took an oath to protect and defend the laws of this country, he decided he was going to go flatly against it by doing all these things that he's been doing. And of course, this last week here, this week? Yeah, I think it was still this week. No, over the weekend, Saturday, I think it was. The 3rd, he decided to kidnap a foreign leader. Literally kidnap, which violates international law and constitutional law. He literally kidnapped. Of course, he murdered more than 100 people before that. Fishermen, or alleged narco-terrorists, a word they invented for this particular thing here. Congress declares, well, somebody said here on the chat, yeah, Congress declares law, but Congress isn't there. Congress isn't doing anything. Congress has been impotent now for quite a long time. Because also our president is not supposed to be able to just go to war to any country. He's supposed to go to Congress and ask for permission to go to war. And that hasn't been done since 1941. So we really haven't legally, lawfully, by our own Constitution, been at war since 1941. 1945, you can figure the conclusion of World War II. Everything else has been not a war. So what are we doing here? And all these presidents, and Trump isn't the only one. Every president you go back in time, all the way back since 1945, every single president has gone to these various wars and not declared war. Just did it.
Correct.
Hello, we got somebody on Liberty Radio calling in now. Go ahead.
You got it. No, I just got to do a quick correction for you. They didn't pull narco-terrorism out of the arse with Trump. That term was created during the end of the Bush administration and into the Obama administration. Obama continued to use that term after Bush started using it at the end of his term.
Okay, and I looked up the word. Okay, and I'm going to go over thank you, Ed. I'm going to go over some of the charges that Maduro has been charged with. And by the way, although the mainstream press is not saying this, I think there were 30-some Cuban security personnel that were murdered during this raid, and I think another 40, roughly. And I don't quote me on the numbers here because I don't remember. I didn't write them down. Don't have it in front of me. Another 40 civilians, or well, to put it 40 other people. Let's put it that way. Most of these were probably military personnel, including some top military personnel, generals or whatever, were also murdered during this time period. The only way this probably could have taken place was a huge involvement of the CIA beforehand to get them in there, because apparently now some high-level security official or intelligence agency I guess I better not say, because I don't. Somebody was bribed heavily to allow this to happen. Because when you watch some of the videos of these Chinooks coming in, like 5 or 6 of them at a time, and then hovering over these buildings where, for quite a long time, it would have been easy for anybody to take a shot at one of these helicopters and take them down, or at least drive them away. It's amazing how little response was done. Almost no response was done to stop this.
Well, Craig,
Hello?
real quick,
Go ahead.
I'm going to remind everybody, he was a dictator. A lot of the people in Venezuela felt that he stole the election. Remember, they didn't have the last election that they had. They didn't really have an election. They had a selection. They arrested a bunch of people and tortured them publicly down there. But that doesn't justify, what Trump did or the BS charges that they're charging him with.
Yeah. In fact, let me make this clear also from the start. Not only am I not a Republican or a Democrat, so don't declare me don't accuse me of being either one of those. I also am not saying that Maduro is like an angel. Maduro has a lot of things that he probably did, as did many other leaders. In fact, Trump. A lot of other things that are abhorrent, immoral, illegal. So he's probably done a lot of bad things. I don't know. I don't know the details of those. But so I'm not defending Maduro. I'm just defending international law and U.S. law is what I'm doing here. I really don't care much about Maduro. I don't know one way or another. You call him a communist, okay, you can call him a communist if you want. You can call him whatever, a dictator, it doesn't matter. That's their country. That's for them to decide what to do with their leader, not us. Why do we got to get involved with everything? Well, that's right, it's fentanyl. Or wait, did I say that right? Fentanyl. I'm sorry, fentanyl. Freudian slip there, fentanyl. So yeah, but now in the indictment, fentanyl wasn't listed at all. They changed it to cocaine all of a sudden. Now, some cocaine has come out of Venezuela, but no fentanyl has ever come out of, as far as anything I've ever seen, including the drug agency's own websites, the U.S. Department, what do they call it, the drug agency? Even they say that fentanyl doesn't come from Venezuela. But that was their excuse they were using, from boats that couldn't have made it to the U.S. shores without refueling like 20 times to get here. And just out and out murdering them, and then shooting the individuals that survived to make sure they die. This is totally against international law. It's a criminal act. It's terrorism and murder. I had an argument with another podcaster that I'd been on his show as a guest before, and I probably burned some bridges by taking him on for his opinion. I won't even mention who he is right now, or his channel, because he might actually be embarrassed by what he says, although he firmly believes. And this is all my opinion too, mostly, but he thinks it's a good thing that we got into there, Maduro, because Venezuela was becoming a hotbed for Hezbollah. Ooh, that evil Hezbollah. And the drugs are killing Americans, don't you know? So we got to stop those drugs. Well, the drugs that are killing are fentanyl, mainly, and those are coming from Venezuela. And as far as cocaine goes, yes, some cocaine does come out of Venezuela, but most of it comes out of Colombia. And a lot of the other drugs, including fentanyl, comes through from China via Mexican border. So if you want to stop the flow of drugs, you need to concentrate on there. But no, you're going to reach out and kidnap or murder people overseas because the U.S. has a drug problem? Why does the U.S. have a drug problem? Let me think here. Is it because Americans voluntarily take these drugs? Now, granted, some fentanyl is prescribed, but you could also reject those. But as far as cocaine goes, the thing he's been charged with, it may kill some Americans, mostly just addictions, money, and people that do this voluntarily. It doesn't kill a lot of people. Cocaine doesn't, but it can, of course, through suicide, all sorts of other things. But fentanyl doesn't come from Venezuela. And he's been charged with narco-terrorism. 4 things here on the list. Cocaine. I need to get some more light here, don't I? Hang on, folks, here. Let's increase. How do I do this? I'm going to very rarely use these things on my show. There, it gets some more light. Doesn't help you people on Liberty Tree Radio any, but now I got more light on the subject. And I'm the subject. Cocaine importation conspiracy. Okay, is he involved with that, or is that just done illicitly without his knowledge? That could come out in court, I suppose. There may be some basis for that. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Unless his government, he has the knowledge and he's doing it intentionally, which he might. I don't doubt that he might be. Then, okay, that might be a charge that could get to stick. But at the same time, didn't the United States just pardon, I don't know his name off the top of my head, and I think it was from Nicaragua, or was it Honduras? Either Honduras or Nicaragua, I'm sorry, I don't remember which. He just pardoned a head of state, a former head of state, that was convicted, tried, and was in prison for illicit drug trafficking. But Trump pardoned him just like a week before he kidnapped Maduro. Huh. Must be something going on there, huh? Another thing he's been charged with, these next 2 are funny. Possession of machine guns and destructive devices. A head of state wanting to own machine guns and destructive devices. Okay, so now we're saying that no one in the world can own machine guns or destructive devices, no leader of the world. So that's what we're trying to claim with Iran right now, because Iran, since we totally obliterated, according to, I totally obliterated the nuclear program. Well, if you totally obliterated, then why are you talking about attacking Iran again? Oh, it's because they're developing ballistic missiles. Well, it so happens their ballistic missiles are more powerful and better than yours and Israel's, and that's why you're upset about it. So, but putting this charge on a foreign leader saying that they can't own machine guns or destructive weapons, and this last charge is conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices. Okay, to possess them and own them is now illegal according to Donald Trump. So no country in the world can own machine guns or destructive devices because Donald Trump says so. Is that where we're going with this? I wouldn't be necessarily against that, but Donald Trump it better be illegal for him to own machine guns and destructive devices too. If you're going to eliminate them all over the world, he better eliminate his too. A lot of people are going to get mad at me, and a lot of people on YouTube have not heard this kind of opinion from me anyway. I talk about this sort of topic all the time on Liberty Tree Radio. We're a little more free of doing things on Liberty Tree Radio than I am on YouTube. There's certain words that could get kicked off. And if I get kicked off before the 8 o'clock hour Eastern time, that's because YouTube did it because of something I said. Okay, so, but if there's enough people who wanting to, if you want to, losing my thought here. I was reading, so I'm trying to read and keep up with people are saying on YouTube as well as people calling in on Liberty Tree Radio. If you, okay, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Okay, let's go on with my other note. So, all weapons basically are illegal for any country, any leader of any country own. That's what Donald Trump's saying. You can't own any machine guns. You can't own any destructive devices. Okay, that's really fine. That's the charge that will get immediately thrown out. Although, who knows what's going to happen here? It's going to be probably a show trial. It's going to be something that it might have already been set up from the beginning because they specifically took him to a specific jurisdiction. If they would have landed in LaGuardia, for instance, it wouldn't have been the jurisdiction that he's going to be tried in. He was brought specifically to a...
It's going to be a show trial, Craig.
Well, I don't doubt that.
It wasn't going to be a show trial. If you were going to charge him as being a dictator, you'd think you would charge him in Venezuela and have a jury of his peers of Venezuelan people decide his fate.
Yeah, I was told that he actually has a very good case against these charges if he has a fair trial. Why we had to kidnap and bring him here to try him in the first place is beyond me. I would suggest, okay, think about this, folks. A lot of people that are probably disagreeing with me, and that's fine. I'm here to be disagreed with if you want. You can take me to task for any of this stuff. Let's say, let's take an example. Okay, Donald Trump and his U.S. government has been supplying weapons to Ukraine as a proxy war against Russia, right? We all know that. That's no secret. All right, so Russia then should declare, okay, you are possessing and owning machine guns and destructive devices, and so now we're going to come kidnap you and bring you to trial in Russia. Is that what we need to do here? They would have all justification to do so. By Donald Trump's rules, they would. Not by international law, they wouldn't. Because Donald Trump owns machine guns and destructive devices. Not him personally, his government does. And by the way, if a lot of you on YouTube, if you're watching me from other countries, no, I live within the United States borders, okay? I am what they call a U.S. citizen, even though I'm not really that type of U.S. citizen. I was born in Indiana, okay? So just so you're making this clear, I'm not a supporter of Maduro, but I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat. So it goes against the grain. And that's because I learned a little too much. So this is just insane of what he's doing. Let's take another example, because I thought about this one too. Let's say the China, that let's say there's a Chinese dissident, somebody that's escaped China and they want him for trial. And China sends in hundreds of drones. They know where he's at, and they send in hundreds of drones and blow up the place where he's staying. That you don't think there'd be an outrage in this country about that? That we sent in over 100 military aircraft into Venezuela the other day, blew up a lot of their buildings, even including apparently the grave site or memorial site of Chavez is one of the targets, just for spite, basically. So if China sent in hundreds of drones and blew up a building where this Chinese dissident was staying and then left, what would we do about it? Would we be angry? I think you'd be up in arms. Or let's say the government of France, here's another. The government of France sent over their spies, I can't remember what the French spies are called, and came in and murdered Candace Owens because something she said about the French first man or lady, whichever you want to believe. Would we be okay with that? A lot of people are thinking that, and I kind of tend to believe them, it looks like Israel is implicated in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. That's not proven yet, but she's digging into it, and they want her dead or gone. They're trying to deplatform her. What's the word they use to make sure she's not as big as she's ever is now? That you're trying to bring her down. As with a lot of Tucker Carlson is receiving the same kind of attacks. There's been a lot of people that have been attacked. My channel doesn't grow. They probably don't care about me yet. If my channel did grow a lot, they probably would care about me, and then I'd be a target as well. So maybe I'm better off just having the small audience that I have. So I'm not in agreement at all, and neither is international law. The Chinese have spoken out against what was done here on the 3rd. The Russians have spoken out, as have many, many other countries. And anybody that speaks out against them now, Trump is threatening with military action. Because now he's been, like I say, he's been threatening Cuba, Mexico, Iran again, Greenland. What is going on here? Is he trying to bring our country down? Because that's what he's doing. The world right now is looking at us in amazement. This used to be a nation we could call a great nation, where we could be looked up to in the world's eyes. And now it's not. Now we're just as bad as Israel. I think maybe that was part of what Trump saw all the things that Israel got away with, and maybe, God, I could do that. And maybe that's what he decided to do. I can't let that guy Bibi show me up, that I can do better than that. And so he just started threatening everybody and attacking the world, because Bibi has attacked 7 countries too, 7 of his neighbors locally. And speaking of Bibi, did you know, another thing that happened today, or at least I learned about today, the judge presiding over the case of Bibi that we're talking about, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli crime minister, he is judge and presiding over his case, has, put air quotes here, died in a car accident. Certainly couldn't be anything going wrong there, right? Nothing suspicious about that. But we decide that's what we're going to, because Israel has been known to assassinate people all over the world. And thousands of leaders, important people, nuclear scientists, whatever, they've been implicated. The Mossad has been implicated in a lot of those. And going back to what I was saying about this person who I was disagreeing with, had another podcast. Well, another one of his points was, well, they were trying to have a military base and near us. Hezbollah was going to be part of, protected by Venezuela, and they were going to be attacking the U.S. Through that military base of Hezbollah in Venezuela. And I pointed out to him, well, gee, we have about 800 military bases all over the world. And he specifically said, Iran, Russia, and China. He mentioned about what would they do? Well, we have military bases near all those countries. We have roughly 800 of them worldwide, military bases worldwide. Now, when that happened in 1962, I think it was 62, we call that the Cuban Missile Crisis, where the Soviet Union placed missiles in Cuba, nuclear missiles, that could be used against us. And well, we got a little upset about that, didn't we? We have nuclear missiles very close to China, Iran, Russia, all over the world. We have nuclear missiles. And in fact, people don't think about this. I wouldn't worry about nuclear missiles being in Venezuela or Cuba, for that matter, or Canada, because we already have nuclear weapons pointed at us. They're much closer than that. You don't think that Russia, you don't think Russia probably has a couple of nuclear-armed submarines off the coasts of California, in the Pacific Ocean, and maybe a couple more in the Atlantic Ocean, and maybe some up in the Arctic also, with their nuclear-armed missiles ready to strike at a moment's notice? And don't you think we also have those same nuclear submarines adjacent to the other countries any of the country we want to attack? You don't think we have that as well? So this whole Cuban Missile Crisis doesn't faze me today. If there was nuclear missiles, for instance, and even what even talking about nuclear missiles, we're just talking about Hezbollah using it as a base. Well, we've got over 800 bases all over the world. So don't give me that crap. What else? Oh boy, I sure hope I haven't been cut off from Ed. Or Ed, oh boy, my phone went dead. I might have been cut off from Liberty Tree Radio. I'm not sure. Unless somebody talks to me on Liberty Tree Radio, I may be off the air there. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, well, let me try to reconnect. If I've been even off. Here's how I connect.
This service is provided in high definition.
If you want to learn how to do this, go to Liberty Tree Radio website.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound.
957464, followed by the pound sign.
Access code accepted. Muted. The recording has started.
Now I have to do a new.
Get him back up on here if we don't get him back right now. Oh, we got Craig.
I'm here. Can you hear me now, Ed? Can you hear me, Ed?
There we go. We got you, Craig.
Okay, I'm not sure what happened there. I didn't know. I was disconnected until I happened to look at my phone and saw it was blank. Okay, so I don't know how long I was off, but anyway, continue on. We're still live.
Off for a couple minutes.
Couple minutes. Okay, I'm still live here on YouTube. Haven't been cut off from YouTube yet. I would expect to be cut off from YouTube like this. I wouldn't expect. I know Ed didn't cut me off on Liberty Tree Radio. That's not their thing. For anything I say, I can say anything I want, and I would not be cut off on Liberty Tree.
I was just getting ready to pull up your YouTube feed if I couldn't get a hold of you.
Okay. And somebody, let me see, speaking about the YouTube feed here, 70 countries. Yeah, we actually have military bases in, maybe I wrote it down because I did look it up. Boy, I got so many notes here and I scribbled in all sorts of different ways. And here's some other things I see here that I need to talk about. We have military bases. I think you're about right. There's a little bit of disagreement of how many people how many countries we actually have, and how many you see figures anywhere between 750 and 800 military bases we have on foreign lands. When I say 800 military bases, I'm not talking about the United States. I'm talking about all over the world. And in fact, I also looked up, in 80 countries actually, from the numbers I found. Russia has about 20 military bases in foreign lands, and China has one. So, but we have 800. And also something I looked up here. Now, let me talk about sanctions a little bit, because sanctions are one of those things that, okay, I'm still on the air here in Liberty Trap. I got to keep watching, I guess, to make sure I'm still on the air at Liberty Radio. Okay. Sanctions. Sanctions are dubious. Why do we have sanctions against Venezuelan oil? Is it illegal for some reason? Is it illegal because we place sanctions on it? Why do we have sanctions on Venezuelan oil and not Saudi Arabian oil? Something's going on there. Is Saudi Arabian the Yaman? What's the name for the Saudi Arabian president, the highest? Is he like not? Is he a better man, a better dude than Maduro? I think he was convicted. He was accused of killing a foreign journalist in France or England or something. No, I don't think we are. I think we're being, why we have sanctions against it. In fact, here's a figure I looked up about sanctions. Why do we have sanctions at all? Because we don't like somebody? Right now, depending on the numbers you look up, between 1/4 and 1/3 of the world population is affected by U.S. sanctions in one way or another. 1/4 to 1/3 of the world population affected by U.S. sanctions in a negative way. In fact, you'll also find, if you look up the numbers, you'll find that 564,000 people per year, more than 500,000 people per year, die because of results of U.S. sanctions. And that's more than what happens in wars around the world. And those numbers are between the years 1971 to 2021, a 40-year period, of recent period. Over 500,000 people every year die because of U.S. sanctions. Sanctions which are dubious by law to begin with. So, should China or Russia or Iran place U.S. sanctions on us for importing machine guns and destructive devices to foreign countries that are killing people all over the world? Should they place sanctions? Should they have an embargo? Should they do all these things? The hypocrisy of our country is maddening. Maddening. I thank you for Woodchuck, somebody, yes, Prince. He called the Prince, I guess, in Saudi Arabia. I just picking countries out of my head. The hypocrisy is incredible.
There we go.
We're
Can you hear me, Craig?
Yes, I can hear you, Ed.
Actually, embargoes and sanctions, we are not the only country that does it. We hear about ours more than we hear about everybody else's. But, yeah, other countries do it. Like, I know Cuba has an embargo against us with trade for our products from Cuba to the U.S., which go into black market both ways. Like, there are people who smuggle stuff into Cuba because of the embargo against America. There's people who smuggle stuff out of Cuba, like the Cuban cigars, because of America's embargo against Cuba in that direction. You know, it does go both ways with a lot of these countries.
Yeah, and the things we've done to Cuba over the last 60 years or more has been incredible. It's surprising that country is still, it's very devastated. But yeah, these sanctions are making us hated all over the world, is my point. And there's no reason for any of them. Here's something that's going to be a really revelation to people on YouTube. Because Liberty Radio, I say this quite frequently, and a lot of you will get mad and won't even want, maybe you'll want to unsubscribe, who knows. But here's my opinion of what should be said. Now, Donald Trump was actually saying it's not getting us tangled in regime changes and foreign wars. That's one of the things he platformed on his candidacy. and he's went totally against it, bombing 7 countries so far and threatening to bomb a whole lot more within his first year. What we need to do, first of all, any army anywhere in the world, any logical, legitimate reason to have an army or a military is defense. Now, Hegseth wants to throw that out the window and remove the name Department of Defense, the Department of War. That's actually more accurate, but it should stay at defense. It is defense. It should be defense because any military in the world, that's their only legitimate reason for a military, is defense of your own country. And we haven't done that in ages. So that's number one. With that in mind, and you may not agree with that, that's fine. With that in mind, I think we should close all those 800 military bases all over the world, bring our equipment and personnel home, have them guard our own borders, because that's what they should be doing, is protecting our country, not invading others and helping other countries invade other countries.
I'm 100% in agreement with you on that, Craig.
Okay, well,
we are not supposed to be the world's police force, but that's what they've turned us into. Even this BS where they went after Venezuela's president, what did they do? They're writing it up like we went in and served a search warrant and got a bad guy like out of the hood, except this is the leader of a foreign country. I know you went into that a bit, but that's literally the excuse I've heard from some people is that we didn't invade them, we served a search warrant.
Yeah.
What jurisdiction do we have to serve a search warrant in another country?
Yeah, well, we don't search warrants, we send bombs, mainly. That's what we usually normally do. Yeah, so bring all our troops home, bring all our equipment home. Don't just abandon it like Biden did with Afghanistan. Bring all our equipment home. Yeah, go ahead, Ed. You said my name, but
hello, Craig.
Oh, somebody else there. Hello.
Yeah, it's Paul.
Go ahead.
Yeah, did you disappear for a moment, for a few minutes or so?
Yeah.
I can't hear you anymore.
Yeah, something happened. We don't know. It was a couple of minutes that we were off the air on Liberty Tree Radio. Yes, I'm still on YouTube, but yeah. And I don't know which parts that you missed, and I don't need to repeat them.
Paul, when we said he was back, so we've been talking for a while, and we already addressed that.
That's okay. He might have.
I've never heard it.
That's okay. All right. So now we have. Again, my opinion. These are going to sound radical but this is what every American president should be saying, in my opinion. But they can't, and I couldn't ever be a politician and win for any office by saying the things I'm saying here tonight. Obviously, Army should be only for defense. A military should only be for defense. Bring all our troops home. Close all our military bases. Bring all our troops home. Bring all our equipment home. Guard our own borders. That's what our military should be doing. Mind our own business. No more of these CIA adventures all over the world. That's another thing I had an argument with this guy. I had the podcast. But they got sleeper cells here. The Chinese got sleeper cells. The CIA has sleeper cells all over the world and have been engaged in assassinations, regime changes, disruptions, political, financial, being terrorists all over the world. Yeah, okay, if there's a Hezbollah... If there's a Hezbollah sleeper cell here, okay, well, we've got hundreds or maybe even thousands of them.
The only reason why we've got sleeper cells in the U.S., Craig, is because they left the border open for so long. And even what Trump is doing right now with the border, it's the little Dutch boy putting his finger in the dam. They're not getting rid of the entire problem. They can't because the damage has been done for so long. They acted for years like it wasn't an issue. Now all of a sudden it's, we've got sleeper cells. Well, who let the sleeper cells in? Gee, I wonder who.
Yeah, and why would they, if we were a just country with high morals and praised around the world like we used to be, there probably wouldn't be any sleeper cells here anyway. They don't hate us for our freedom. They hate us because we're disrupting freedom and killing people all over the world. And if you want to call Hezbollah terrorists or Hamas terrorists or Chinese, whatever, sleeper cells terrorists, then bring all our terrorists home, mind our own business, close down the CIA, bring them all back home. we can spy on other countries via satellites and other means of communications. We don't have to go over there and disrupt their countries and create all this havoc all over the world. But that's what we're doing. I would think any of those countries that have those sleeper cells in their country that have done things to them would call the CIA terrorists. An army, somebody said here on YouTube, and an army that only defends is beaten. A quote by Napoleon, apparently. An army that that only defends is beaten. Well, not if they defend to where the other side can't have victory. Or at least that's my opinion of it. So I don't know if I agree with that statement, but again, he's quoting Napoleon.
Well, real quick, yeah, what happened to Napoleon?
Yeah, well.
What happened to Napoleon? I'm sorry, you're going to quote the man.
Yeah.
How did the Battle of Waterloo end? You know.
Well, I'm bringing on some of the comments from YouTube as well. I may not agree with.
It was Waterloo. Wasn't it?
I may not agree with comments on Liberty Tree Radio all the time or the YouTube, and that's fine. But I'm willing to have this as an open discussion. So, okay, but think of also, and a lot of you don't know this also. Can't remember what section of the Constitution is, but the Constitution basically forbids standing armies for longer than 2 years. They can only be implemented in some type of emergency, and they can only have a standing army for about 2 years, and then they have to be disbanded. That's what the Constitution says. We aren't supposed to have a standing army at all. We can have a navy. According to the Constitution, we're allowed to have a navy, but not a standing army.
A standing army leads to corruption. A standing army is never idle. You know, and take a look. Oh, what have we used our military for? Well, let's see. We believe in our rights, but as far as the Second Amendment goes, we let our Marines be used in Australia to confiscate their guns as, again, policemen of the world. We're not. That was never our job. It's not supposed to be our job. We need to, like you said, we need to mind our own business and just defend our borders. If we brought them back and just switched them all over to border patrol mode like the cavalry used to be, their hands would be full.
Yeah, and that's another point I'd like to make. The way this country was designed is to defend ourselves was through the National Guard and the Coast Guard. Now, there was no Air Force back then, but nowadays I guess you would have to consider that the CAP, Civil Air Patrol. But so my next proposal, which again is massively going to be against what everybody's talking about on the air. You never heard this type of thing come from anybody else, any other podcaster. Get rid of our Army, get rid of our Navy, get rid of our Air Force, Marines, get rid of all of them, and just have National Guard, Coast Guard, and Civil Air Patrol. Those are enough to protect our borders. Remember, we have 2 oceans surrounding us. Very little threat to being invaded from Mexico. Even less threat being invaded from Canada. You could okay.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Craig, I'm going to somebody who just texted me. That's not going to get rid of any of our defense. If you do what Craig is talking about, all the big toys, the aircraft carriers, the tanks, and everything falls back into the jurisdiction of the states that they came from. Texas would have the mobile infantry with the armored division that we have back in Texas, which has been sent all over the world. Michigan has a big aviation pool, which people don't realize that our aviation response in the north has seriously been cut down, not just in Michigan, but across the states in a whole. They took some of the A-10s out of Michigan and gave them some other BS plane. I don't remember what it is, but Michigan was where most of our A-10s have been based for years. The National Guard has access to them. That's where those toys are supposed to be. They're supposed to be in the hands of the people. And some people want to the militia. Some people want to claim that the National Guard is a militia. It's not. It's a different body. But if it was going to be anywhere, it should be in the hands for state defense.
Yeah, and of course, all the states, I guess I can't say that. I think all the states also have their own National Guards as well. Do you know if that's a fact, Ed? Ed's not on at the moment.
Yeah, they have that. No, I muted for a second. Yeah, all of them have their own National Guard. In fact, I think Montana's the only one that actually publicly calls it a militia.
Okay, and on that topic, we also had one woman killed today in Minnesota by ICE agent. The ICE agents are declaring self-defense. The governor of Minnesota is up in arms about it. Well, he should be up in arms, but he's just denouncing it and saying, go away, basically. Well, if I'm going to go away, send in the Minnesota National Guard to drive away those invaders. That's why you have a National Guard, a guard for Minnesota Guard.
The National Guard of Minnesota, not Minnesota, the governor of Minnesota is Tim Walz. And he has been defending the illegals there and is in the center of that fraud scheme that's going on right now. In fact, it's ridiculous, Craig. I don't know if you've been following that at all, but a lot of these daycare centers that have numbers for contact, you call their number and you can watch them in all these YouTube videos. I'd say about 80% of them directs you to Tim Walz's office. Doesn't direct you to, a call center. It doesn't direct you to somebody to put your kids into their system. It literally directs you right to Tim Walz's office. Okay, so let me go over those real quick again. I'm on the air for about 10 more minutes with Liberty Tree Radio. And by the way, if you want to, if I get enough interest in the channel, the YouTube channel, we're going to continue on past 8 p.m. Eastern time. If you want to join in on a conversation here, I'll go on basically as long as it looks like it's worth going on. But I'll be off the air here in about 10 minutes on Liberty Tree Radio. So we need to, an army is for defense, a military is for defense. We need to bring all our troops home, bring all our equipment home, close all military bases, mind our own business, eliminate the, Doge. You want to save $1 trillion a year to get us out of debt eventually? Well, close down the Army, close down the Air Force, close down the Navy, close down the Air Force. Did I mention all four of them? Or I missed one of them. Or I might have mentioned twice. But anyway, that's going to save, what do we have, about $1 trillion a year budget now for our military? If you did these things I just outlined, you'd need very, very little for the military. And maybe we can start getting out of debt. And by the way, and then of course mind our own business and remove all sanctions from all over the world. That'd be my recommendation. That's what any president should be saying, but none will. That'd get you killed pretty quick. But on that point here, and I just forgot my point, didn't I? I was going somewhere with that. Our economy. I got some figures here. Have you been watching the precious metals market? I've covered this here in recent months on Liberty Tree Radio, but I haven't talked about it on YouTube much. Right now, we're at the highest, basically we're at record highs for gold and silver in the metals market. Gold right now, this may shock you if you haven't looked in a while, gold right now is at $4,478 per ounce. Oh, Hey, Greg.
I didn't say 2,000, I said 4,000. Hello, Ed.
We have been following that quite a bit on LTR. In fact, we've been following with interest what's been going on with copper. Have you seen?
I've heard some things. I haven't really looked. Copper goes by the pound, basically. But I know there's been gyrations in the copper market, too. I don't have those numbers in front of me.
Copper has been going up, and some of the coin companies have started doing copper rounds.
Yeah.
I was ahead of them on that one.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what he's talking about there, copper rounds, I have manufactured my own copper rounds and have back in more than 10 years ago now. 1 ounce copper coins, basically. They're not legal tender or lawful money. They're just copper bullion rounds. And then the price of silver. So yeah, 4,004, almost 4,500. In fact, it was over 4,500 here a few days ago per ounce of gold. That makes gold up in the last year. That makes gold up 70% for the year. And let's see here, silver. Silver is right now $79 an ounce. $79 an ounce. It was as high as 83 the other day. It's 79 right now. And that's up for a year period, that's up 171%. Now, that alone kind of demonstrates the investors are kind of worried about where to put their money because gold and silver are a major hedge against inflation. So people are kind of wondering what to do with their money, people that are worried about what's happening in the economy, because at the same time that we're having record highs on gold and silver, the precious metals market, we also have record highs in the stock market at the same time. Now that is exceedingly rare to have both those markets to be at all-time highs simultaneously. Something is going on. Now, The stock market is probably the bubble. Gold and silver might be the bubble, but the stock market is probably the bubble because of tech stocks and AI. Probably way overvalued. A lot of people are putting money into this AI crap and data centers and so on. Things are happening that we aren't going to like someday. You aren't hardly noticing it now, but it's going to really be biting us back someday. But to have the precious metals market and the stock markets, the S&P 500, the Dow, to all be at record highs at the same time is exceedingly rare. It doesn't really ever happen, basically. So something's going on here. One of them is definitely a bubble, and I'm pretty sure it's the stock market. If that bubble bursts, watch what happens to our economy. Watch what happens to the bond market. If China just starts pulling their bonds, we're so far in debt that if people start pulling their bonds, our country is over with. Some of the stuff going on in Venezuela might be because of that. And trying to grab all the resources, trying to get more money out of you. And if you think this war in Venezuela, well, this action, and it's already cost you billions of dollars. I'm sure you know that, right? It's already cost, and we don't have any control of Venezuela right now. Trump likes to claim, "Oh yeah, I conquered Venezuela, and we're going to run it now." Well, you're going to have to put your own people in there. You have to put boots on the ground because the present president, which was the vice president a few days ago, is saying, "No, this is our government. We're running the country." So you're going to have to send boots on the ground if you want to actually rule over Venezuela. It's their oil. It's not our oil. They didn't steal our oil. It's under their land. If some country came and said, "Oh, you've got I don't know, copper. You got big copper mines in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and we need that copper. We're in Belarus, and we need that copper because we're starting up our own company here that's going to make widgets that need a lot of copper or make a lot of copper wire or whatever. So we're going to come in and we're going to conquer you. We're going to kidnap the President Trump, and we're going to steal your copper because that's our copper. You stole it from us." How much sense does that make? Doesn't make any sense, obviously. So why is he saying this stuff? It makes no sense. We are going down a path of destruction, and this is probably intentional. Just being honest with you. Trump might have been put there on purpose. He's giving you all these sugar-coated promises, and he's violating every single one of them. I can't believe there's anybody that still considers themselves MAGA. So I don't know. It's becoming harder and harder to say that I'm a proud American because our country is going down the tubes. Go ahead, Ed.
MAGA is not Trump's thing. MAGA is what Trump says, but it's an abbreviation of Make America Great Again, which a lot of people are still on board with. But what they're doing is not making America great again. It's just the same old BS.
And
same old swamp, different names.
More of it, in fact, more BS than we've ever had.
Yep.
And so this is something.
I mean, it would be nice if they actually were trying to make America great again, but what they've done is just like with the Tea Party, it's been hijacked.
Yeah.
Remember the third party idea. I know where you've gone with that before, and I've been alive long enough. I've seen it with the Green Party, the Tea Party, and now we have the Make America Great thing going on with Trump. It was great. People got behind it, got moving, but once into positions of power or where a power vacuum was, somebody stepped in, claimed control, and took it off rails into another direction. That's why we don't have the Tea Party anymore. That's why people barely remember the Green Party.
Or the Libertarians. Ed, before we get off the air here, please give out they're hearing you on YouTube, give out the Liberty Tree Radio website so they can go and find out where they can hear me and other programs on Liberty Tree Radio.
All right, well, libertytreeradio.4mg.com. That's libertytreeradio.4, the letter M, the letter G.com, or just go to libertytreeradio.org. That's libertytreeradio.org is an organization. And if you're listening to us on a smartphone, I would recommend going to the .org site. I'm going to update that page a little more. Honestly, I've neglected that probably a lot longer than I should have. There's some outdated information there, but as far as listening on a smart device, that's the best one to go to. The link there works perfectly every time. Never had a problem with it. On the .4mg.com site, there's a little bit of a problem with playing with your VLC player, and it doesn't always work, sometimes you got to refresh it even though you already put it in. So just heads up on that one.
Okay, yeah. For those who are in YouTube, if you can communicate the same way Ed is doing with me right now. Ed is in the studio actually right now, but anybody can actually participate when I'm on live every week on Liberty Tree Radio. When I do live, sometimes I miss weeks. To be honest with you, I'm a busy guy, especially when the weather gets warmer and I work have to work outside. But anyway, you're welcome to join us every week because I don't do it much on YouTube. To visit Liberty Tree Radio and get us on there. So right now, Liberty Tree Radio is going off the air for me. Thank everybody for listening on Liberty Tree Radio. Until next time, so long. Okay, so right now, let me hang up there. Okay, I can stay on here on YouTube if you want to continue any kind of conversation I've been talking about. I got a lot more things here that I may not have even covered. You're welcome to join in on the chat and show me how I'm wrong. I keep waiting for somebody to show me how I'm wrong when I say we should shut down our armies, basically. Shut down our Army, Navy, all our militaries, shut them down and just rely on the National Guard, the Coast Guard, Civil Air Patrol. This is what our founding fathers wanted. Not Civil Air Patrol, but that's the more civilian version of like a militia type version of what our founding fathers wanted that didn't exist during the days of obviously Space Force didn't exist, and neither did the Air Force back when our founding fathers, of course, started this country. But in the same vein, Civil Air Patrol. Now, I don't know about Space Force. I don't know. We don't have a organization that's a private, basically, or that's like a civilian-based, unless you want to consider SpaceX and all these private companies, Blue Origin. If you want to consider these part of Space Force, we could talk about that. But anyway, let's see. So I'm definitely not in favor. So anyway, shut down our military, bring all our troops home, bring all our equipment home, mind our own business. That's key. Mind our own business, because we're being involved in all these things we shouldn't be involved in. All over the world, we need to get the hell out and mind our own business. And it's going to take several generations for us to be held in a positive light in world affairs now. Trade fairly with people. Don't just sanction them and tariff them to death. That's what he's doing. No. Fair trade. If they have the computer chips we need, you arrange trade or you buy them legitimately. You don't go over there and take over the country because you need them. Trade oil. If you think this military action in Venezuela is going to keep the price of oil down, no, you're wrong, because your taxes are going to go up. Because they're going to want to send in all these oil companies, subsidize them to start drill in Venezuela. It's going to cost you, just like the tariffs will cost you. Tariffs brought in more money for the government, but then now you're paying more for all those products that you're buying. Is it going to change anything in this country? I don't think so. Karen says, well-regulated militia, yeah, part of the Second Amendment. And the word militia has got a bad rap for many decades because the press likes to demonize it. Look into what a militia actually is. And in fact, I don't remember, every state is different. But in general, for most states, if you are let's say you're born in Minnesota and you're a citizen of Minnesota when you're born, you probably, when you become 18, I'm just using Minnesota, I don't know what their rules are. Every state is slightly different. When you reach 18 in most states, between the years of 18 and whatever the limit is on the upper end, you are a member of the militia. Congratulations. By law, the governor of your state can call up the militia. In other words, they could actually be a call up of a militia of Minnesota to drive out those invaders. Now, in this case, they have the National Guard in Minnesota, which they could do that. The sheriff of that state, sheriff has a supreme rule. The sheriff is your most powerful government official, by the way, in whatever state you live in. Because I'm talking to people in the United States here. The sheriff is the most powerful. He can, if the feds come in, let's say whatever county Charlie Kirk was murdered in. The feds had no business coming there at all unless called up by the governor. And the county sheriff could go in and drive out all the FBI that messed up that case supremely, because they're out without jurisdiction. Where is their jurisdiction? Somebody was shot within Utah. The alleged killer was not from another state. This all happened within the state, and that's the jurisdiction of the county, whatever county. Maybe it's St. Louis, or not St. Louis, Salt Lake. Maybe it's Salt Lake County. I don't know which county it is. That's their jurisdiction. The sheriff could come in and send out the FBI saying, you're out of bounds. You need to leave this state immediately, or leave my county immediately. And the governor could also kick him out. The FBI had no business doing it in that case. The FBI gets involved with all these, but the press has got you to believe that that's something that always has to happen. The FBI has to come in and save the day. And they just make things worse. Without jurisdiction, without lawful authority, they come in. In fact, they were on site there within 15 minutes. Why were they on there on site within 15 minutes? Well, maybe they knew something was going to happen. I'm not sure about that, but or they're there within 15 minutes where they had no place of being there at all to begin with. So another question you guys all should be asking when you're looking into this murder of Charlie Kirk. Foreign entanglements. Well, we're going to foreign entanglements. Yeah, we need to get away from this. Our founding fathers would be rolling in their graves. They saw what was happening right now to our country. Our country is being destroyed. And that's part of the plan, in my opinion, because you need, in order to have one world totalitarian socialist governments, all around the world, everybody needs to be equal. Socialism, communism, essentially. You need to have everybody equal. You need to bring down the strong countries. And Trump's doing a mighty good job of that. Economically, morally, financially, lawfully, legally, international law. The UN has no bite anymore. Anybody can go out and kidnap anybody's presidents if they wanted to, apparently. I guess China can go and capture the Taiwanese president. Or Russia can come in and kidnap the Ukrainian president. Well, of course, the Ukrainian president isn't who you think it is, because Zelensky hasn't been president for more than a year now. He's in an unlawful position. He has not been elected. The required election by their parliament didn't happen. He is not the lawful leader of Ukraine. They never tell you that on the mainstream media. And like I say, all these things that I'm talking about here would get me basically murdered pretty quickly if I were to try to run for any kind of office. But we need another party. Or convert one of the parties that have been trying. Libertarian is the third most popular party. They should start saying things like, every single one of our members doesn't take money from AIPAC or other foreign governments. We don't take money from any foreign governments. That would be huge right there, because the new generation coming up are realizing how our government is being controlled by Israel. Take no money from foreign governments, and then make some of the promises Trump did, no foreign entanglements, that make some of those promises like stop our military, remove all the CIA from all around the world, bring all our military home, close all the military bases. All these things, it's going to get them killed, but this is what needs to be done. You would probably vote for somebody like this. I don't know. I'm not getting any feedback here, really, other than the Napoleon Code. I don't see any feedback here. What is it going to take to get our country back? Because our country's been hijacked. Nothing like what it used to be. I'm old enough to remember some things that are completely different today than they were back then. And even when I was born, things were bad, but it wouldn't really reveal, because back then our mainstream media controlled the airwaves. States' rights, somebody says. Yes, states' rights. And that was largely what the Civil War was about, states' rights. The southern states didn't want to abolish slavery. Northern states did. The northern state says, no, you can't have slavery. And I'm not saying slavery is good at all, of course. But we went to war against ourselves over that issue, states' rights. Minnesota, where that woman was killed, has the right to control their own state. They could even secede from the Union if they wanted to. That would get Donald Trump starting to bomb Minnesota, of course. But he could do it. The governor of that state could try to secede from the Union, kick all the feds out, close all the FBI offices, get all the federal agencies out of his state. It would get him killed, and he'd have to they'd have to go and spend special ops in to kidnap him and bring him in for trial, for sedition probably. Whatever. My country is being destroyed, and probably intentionally So this is making a very bad precedent all around the world. It's hard to be proud to be an American these days in the world's mind. We're hated, and for good reason. Again, more than 500,000 people every year are killed by our sanctions that we impose for no real reason. The rest of the world should be sanctioning us. How quick do you think we go under if China sanctioned all rare earths and computer chips from being sent to the United States and started seizing ships or shooting down airplanes that were trying to transport this contraband, computer chips and rare earth minerals? Our military wouldn't exist. Our present situation is our military is already in bad shape. And a lot of you may not know this, but our military is already in very bad shape. We use like 1/4 of our missiles in that 12-day war with Iran. We had to bail Israel out to get them to stop bombing Iran to Israel. In that 12-day war, where we supplying about 1/4 of our weapons, our missiles, were used in those 12 days. How long do you think we're going to last if other countries decided to take us down? It wouldn't take very long. We don't build missiles fast enough to replace them at the rate that we've been using them. People don't like to hear that. People don't want to know that. The press wants to hide it. But that's what we're talking about here. Our military is in a weak spot. We aren't the military of the 1990s like we used to be. We just aren't. They have better missiles than us. Iran has better missiles than us. Russia has better missiles than us. I'm not sure about China yet. But China also has nuclear weapons, of course, and they have a much bigger navy now than they ever did. They're building their navy like gangbusters, getting ready. And if you notice, and Russia is a different story, of course, but China isn't attacking everybody around the world or all their neighbors like Israel is or Russia is. But yet we need to bring down China too, don't you know? Because they're going to be better off. They're probably already better financially than we are, but they're going to be the financial powerhouse of the world. And got to stop BRICS too. If you don't know what BRICS is, you need to look that up. BRICS, I think. Don't remember for sure, but what are the countries there? Somebody can. BRICS. Who is B? Brazil, Russia. Who's the I? Iran? Is that the I? The R is, C. Spain? What's the S? Can't remember the countries. They're trying to get away, they're creating their own financial conglomeration that is going to eventually get them off the dollar. And there's so many other countries that are trying to join in right now. There's already like a dozen countries that are all full members, and there's like a dozen countries more that are trying to get in as part of this organization. The dollar will be brought down. Our economy will collapse. Just, again, gold and silver, stock market at the same time. Something's happening right now. If just think what happened during the pandemic when the supply of chips coming into this country was reduced. What happened to our auto industry and our manufacturing? Almost put them to a standstill. And that only lasted a few months until they were able to try to get things rearranged to where they bring in more chips. But that happened through an embargo or some kind of sanctions against us for computer chips. We would be very destitute very quickly. No central banks. Yeah, that was the topic of one of my copper coins that I made. If you want to look at my copper, I better not say the website because I haven't been able to change the price, and I need to change the price on those. I really don't need to sell a lot of them. I got to get the price. I got to figure out a way. I need people who know. I got to hire people, I think, to do my websites because I have like 10 websites, and anyway, I can't keep up with them, and they change things, and I don't know how to get back in, how to fix things. I'm not a computer nerd. But one of my coins was a Federal Reserve coin. $1 trillion coin, I think I called it. In Debt We Trust. It was the 100-year anniversary. 1912, I think. 1912 or 2012 or 2013 was the 100-year anniversary. That was one of my first coins that I produced. In Debt We Trust on the back. And here's a little thing. This is really interesting. And I have some videos on YouTube about this also where I showed the coins being minted because I own the dies and everything. I could mint more if I wanted to. I still have thousands of them in stock. On the back of the coin, it shows a scroll, old-fashioned scroll with a quill pen, like back in the day. And on that scroll, it says, you look at it close enough, "Dear Federal Reserve, you're fired. Signed, United States Congress." The Federal Reserve is a private organization. It's not federal really at all. It's only federal in name. A private organization running our monetary system. The bankers. Whereas somebody here's, I'm trying to see what your name is, but somebody in the chat says, BRICS has no central banks. Well, that's part of the problem, isn't it? That's why they need to get rid of BRICS. Barbara, probably her name is, probably named Barbara. No central banks. And off the dollar. That's going to bring our country down very quickly when that happens. It's just a matter of time till it happens. Unless all these countries, become part of the U.S. before we kidnap your leader. China, Russia. I can't remember the I. It might be Iran. I think Iran is a full member now. B, I think, is Brazil. C, maybe somebody, I would look it up. Anyway, BRICS. Look up BRICS. And right now you could add a dozen letters to that, but that's what they're calling it, BRICS. That were the initial members back several years ago when it was formed. But, dear Federal Reserve, you're fired. You're fired. Where have you heard that you're fired before? Now, mind you, I made this coin in 2012, before Donald Trump was a thing politically. Even on his first term, he wasn't a thing yet. Did I predict the future? Did I know copper was going to skyrocket someday and use it as a monetary basis? Because here's something I always say. Oh, and I forgot to mention this on Liberty Tree Radio. I guess I can mention it now. Probably anybody here is watching would be able to go. This weekend I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana, doing a gun show, and I sell these coins, and I sell a lot of things that I sell. I've been doing this for almost 20 years now, being a vendor at various shows all around the country. But on my display case, I have written down there, because I don't really sell gold or silver. I don't have enough money to do that anyway. But right on my display case, it says, "What will you do when they make gold and silver illegal?" I wouldn't necessarily suggest running out and buying gold and silver right now at the price it's at. $80 an ounce for silver, $4,500 an ounce for gold, roughly, as of the date of this broadcast. Because maybe it's a bubble, and a lot of us couldn't afford that anyway. Because if they make it illegal, then all of a sudden you have contraband. Look what happened in 1933. They made gold illegal to own. You had to turn in your gold. So people were burying it, hiding it under the ashes in their fire pits of their fireplace. People were keeping their gold overall. But if you got caught with that, contraband. Go to jail. Fine and go to jail. Now, silver they didn't make illegal in 1933, but in 1934 they had silver hoarding laws. But they kept the silver in our money up until 1964. Since 1964, we haven't had any gold or silver. Haven't had gold in our money since 1933. Hasn't had any silver in our money since 1964. And we haven't really had any copper either of substance, because when a cent was made, by a cent I mean you call a penny, which now stopped making because even made out of zinc, they can't keep them cheap enough to make because of this thing called inflation. But a cent used to be something like this big, like as big as a silver dollar roughly, made of copper. That was a cent, according to the Coinage Act of 1792. Look it up if you don't believe me. Then they changed it over the years, and they had half cents too. Today, somebody, a millennial or somebody will see I used to pick up pennies, now we just laugh at them, right? Kids today just laugh at, oh, it's a penny, ha, 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 a penny. Well, actually, I was in a Rally's today. There's a fast food chain here in the U.S. called Rally's in some states, and they were offering, if you bring in a roll of $10 of the pennies in rolls, they would give you not only $10 cash, but they would also give you a whatever value meal or whatever it was called. I don't know, some type of small meal. They try to keep the pennies going. They're not going to keep the pennies going, but at least temporarily. Because a lot of people are complaining because sometimes you get devalued a couple cents or increased a couple cents, depending which way it goes. Anyway, they can't afford to make pennies anymore, not at 1 cent. The word penny doesn't even exist in the coinage act. There is no such thing as a penny anyway. Nickels also cost a lot more to make. They're going to have to get rid of nickels. Next time we have hyperinflation, folks, they're going to have to get rid of all coins. And since they're doing that, might as well get rid of all paper notes as well. Bills, dollars, things you have. Why is, got some right here. Why is this piece of paper, let me go to the back, it's easier to see. Why is this piece of paper more than this piece of paper? What gives? Why is that? It costs the same to make these things, like 2.5, 3 cents, something like that. Why do we think, it's all in our mind, folks, this really isn't any more valuable than this? We just are taught to believe it is. As soon as that belief goes away, if something happens to the dollar, then we are talking collapse, monetary collapse. And when they do that, they can't have all those evil patriots around, don't you know, going around making and trading in real money, gold, silver, copper. That's why I went with copper. Copper hasn't been touched. They might touch copper too. I might be wrong about that, but gold and silver will have to be made illegal. Because those evil patriots, don't you know, are destroying our ability to make this new cashless society work that we're trying to do for you. Yeah, you had a 1,000 credits in your bank account, $1,000. We'll give you 1,000 of these new credits, these Amero dollars or whatever they want to call them. We're going to give you these, and we're going to have these in your account, and you'll have it up through a national ID card and digital and face scanning in order to use it so that people can't steal your money so easily, hack you. Yeah, it'll be a much better system, cashless society, and they've got you over the last 50 years to believe that's the case we need to be doing anyway. Probably not a single one of you doesn't have a credit card. Part of a cashless society. They've trained you to believe that this is money. Just like they trained us to believe that those coins that you have, or maybe used to have in your pocket, just like they used to make us believe that this is money. There's the penny. Not even copper anymore. Used to have so many grams of copper, now it has way less than a gram. This penny now, this isn't a cent anymore. Even though it says 1 cent on the back, it's not a cent. If you look up the definition of a cent, it is not a cent. That particular coin has only like 2% copper in it. It's copper plated, but it's zinc. But even the zinc became, and that's been since the 1980s. I can't remember what the year, 1983 or something, where they removed the copper out of our pennies even. There's still some copper in quarters, still some copper in dimes. In the core, you can sometimes see at the edge. There's still some copper in our coins. But the main coin that was going to be based on copper had been debauched more than a century ago. Then they debauched all the silver coins. Haven't any silver coins since 1964. Then they got rid of all the gold, of course, in 1933. So we have no money of lawful anymore. Debt. We are, I don't know if we're the most indebted country in the world, but I wouldn't be surprised if we are. How many are we up to, like 37 trillion or something like that? Never pay it off. The interest on the debt is going to kill us alone, let alone the debt itself. So this is not working. Something needs to happen. I really hope, this may sound strange coming from somebody that says that I'm an American. Something bad needs to happen for what Trump's doing right now. Something really bad. I don't necessarily mean kill or kidnap him. I mean, other countries need to get together and start sanctioning us. Even though it's going to hurt us, this is something that needs to be done. Things are going to get so bad, get him impeached, get him removed from office, get somebody else in there. Unfortunately, that somebody else will be part of the same deep state that Donald Trump is in. Would it be J.D. Vance? You think he's going to make things better? You think Kamala Harris would have been making things better? No. Needs to be somebody completely different. Somebody revolutionary in a way. We don't need a revolution, though. We need a restoration. The only politician I can think of in my lifetime that I would be willing to say that we need in there would be Ron Paul. Of course, he's too old now. He's retired. Although, what is too old anymore? What about our last cadaver in chief that we had? We haven't. What is too old anymore? Used to be Reagan was too old. Now, Biden and Trump both have him surpassed. Reagan was having problems. Biden was certainly having problems. And so is Trump. If you really start looking into it, you're going to see a lot of clues of things, not only physically, but mentally as well. We need somebody, some young blood. new people, new ideas, something different. But we don't need a revolution. We need a restoration, because when you get a revolution, you're going to get in the end what you don't want. It's going to turn around. It's going to be more of the deep state, even more so than it was before the revolution. We need a restoration of law and order, constitution, international law. You know, these international laws we're violating, we wrote them. We wrote most of these laws. And yet now the United States, Donald Trump doesn't care about international law, doesn't care about constitutional law. He took an oath to protect and defend and follow the laws. He's not doing it. He has no intention of doing it. He made that very clear. He needs to be impeached on those grounds alone. Probably needs to be handcuffed and put in jail for quite a long time. Not just impeached. And now what he's doing what was done to him. Obviously, he was targeted by the justice system. And now he's doing the same thing to other people in other countries, in fact. He's stealing oil tankers, murdering people for no reason, sanctioning, tariffing. He is a terrorist to the rest of the world. And the sooner you will understand that, and understand that he probably is a terrorist, using their words, the only way we're going to start getting things turned around. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to go well. It's going to go very badly. Okay, I'm sure I'm making a lot of people mad here. There aren't too many people on the here, but I don't see a lot of people disagreeing. Nobody wants to continue this dialogue with me. I've been on the air now for almost an hour and a half. We're going to wrap it up here soon, unless I get some people who want to chat here. I thank everybody who did give a thumbs up. I don't know if that helped. It's supposed to help the algorithm. I don't know. I don't have a big enough audience. I have a big enough audience, potentially, but out of my 18,000 subscribers, I only get a dozen to show up on these live broadcasts. So you kind of wonder why I don't. That's kind of why I don't continue to make videos. My subscriber base has been at about 18,000 for about, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years now. Used to go up pretty dramatically, and then it kind of leveled off because they changed the algorithm, or they don't like me for some reason because I'm not monetized or whatever. I don't do commercials. Whatever reason it is, they don't like, the YouTube algorithm doesn't like me anymore, so I can't grow. So I stopped making videos, essentially. I still want to make videos. I'd love to. If my channel was growing, I don't make any money. I've never made a penny off YouTube. Never intended to. My channel's not monetized, even though I could have it monetized. I've never made a penny off YouTube. Never made a penny off Liberty Tree Radio either. I do it for the information, trying to wake up my fellow Americans. And if my channel was growing, I would continue to make videos, but it's not growing. Nothing all you can do about it, because probably most of you are subscribers that are watching me right now, and probably you do favor what I'm doing. But what happened to the other 18,000 people? I don't know. They're not notified. They haven't hit the bell, whatever it is. I don't know. It's a mystery to me. It's something the algorithm did, because at some point I saw an obvious plateau hit. Doesn't allow me to increase anymore. I watch my numbers, and it goes up or down single digits, or even double digits sometimes, up or down, but it's still, in the end, it stays about 18,000. I think I'm at 18,300 subscribers right now. Should be more. And I'm not as good as some other podcasts. I don't doubt that. I'm not as good as Joe Rogan or Candace Owens or the other biggies, Tucker Carlson or whoever. There's a lot of podcasts that I watch that I know they're better than me. I watch them. If you're on YouTube, here's some, if you want to write these down, all these things I'm talking about, I learn most of what I learn on YouTube. I also listen, I listen to NPR, National Propaganda Radio. So I get my daily propaganda from NPR. But then I go and listen to, most of all these things I'm going to mention right now is you can basically just listen. You don't even have to watch. I use my cell phone on speaker, and while I'm working, or use the headphone earpieces. Check out a show called Judging Freedom. That's the #1 show you should be checking out. For international affairs, geopolitics, that's who you need to be. That's the #1 channel you should be looking to. Judging Freedom. Check that channel out. I don't get any money. I don't get any recognition for saying all this stuff. Candace Owens, if you want to learn about the conspiracy theories, hers is mostly it's theory. I mean, most of it's theory. The whole thing with the Macrones, Charlie Kirk, that's all theory. Some of it may be right. That's up to you to decide. If you want to listen to her, that's fine. I sometimes catch what she's saying. Let's see. Dialogue Works is another channel. A guy from Brazil, Dialogue Works. He has some great guests on, like Douglas McGregor, Scott Ritter. Check out Dialogue Works. A very similar channel to Judging Freedom. I was out in the tractor setting hay for cows, did not have the phone to see that you were live until late. Okay, well, thank you. Woodchuck something. Woodchuck Tin Man. I don't know if these chats show up during the rebroadcast. When it gets posted, after I'm done here tonight, it gets posted on the channel, and I'm not sure you can see the chats here that I'm getting. But thanks for joining. What was I talking about? Lost my train of thought again. I'm always on an important train of thought, and then I lose my train of thought, and then it doesn't work well for me. Maybe I have Biden disease, where I'm forgetting things. I can't. But most of what I'm telling you here is I got a few notes here, but most of it's off the top of my head. I'm still doing pretty good, even at my age. I don't know what I was talking about. Somebody remind me if you want me to continue. Okay, well, I guess I will start wrapping it up now. I thank everybody for joining me. Oh, the channels. Dialogue Works. Glenn Greenwald has been doing a lot of good things here. Digital ID. Yeah, there's a lot of channels that talk about digital ID. You ought to check into that. Not a good thing. These cell phones that we're carrying around with us, tracking us, tracing us, spying on us, it's been pretty well documented. And digital ID is going to be even worse. Cashless society, that's like the end of it right there. They know where you are, who you are, what you've been doing, where you've been, how you spent all your money, what you've eaten. They'll know everything if you let all this go through. Glenn Greenwald has been doing a lot of good recently, especially in relating to Venezuela, because he's in Brazil. Even though I'm talking about all over the world here. Tucker Carlson's got some good stuff. I don't doubt that. A lot of stuff I don't agree on with him. He gets too Christian for me, frankly. We need to leave. It's my opinion, you need to leave the religion out of this. We can be a moral country without having the religion thrown in there, because I have the right to believe whatever religion I want to believe, or none at all. But Tucker Carlson doesn't want that, neither does Candace Owens. They got to push their religion to the hilt. I don't agree with that, so I don't like that part of him and her. Let's see. How about Redacted? Now, there's a lot of things I don't. If you want to get into conspiracy theories about UFOs and orbs flying around Malaysia Flight 370, whatever, and Bigfoot or whatever, aliens, and then they got a lot of that too. But they have a lot of other good programs on Redacted. Clayton Morris used to be with Fox News. So did Tucker Carlson, used to be at Fox News. So did Megyn Kelly, used to be at Fox News. A lot of people are defecting from Fox News. I don't agree with a lot of what Megyn Kelly says either. She has some total bloopers, but she's right on some things. I listen to some of her stuff. I'm talking about the biggest ones here. How about Dave Smith? Here's one you need to look at. Dave Smith. When he gets in a debate with anybody, he just wipes the floor with him. Dave Smith is a libertarian that has his own podcast. Can't remember the name. Part of the Problem, I think it's called. But just enter Dave Smith, and you'll find him on a lot of other people's programs as well. Use cash as much as possible. Yes, thank you, but hardly anybody does, Karen. Nobody uses cash anymore. Trying to think of some of the other channels I'd suggest you check out on YouTube. And again, I don't get paid or any recognition from any of these people. Most of these people, none of these people know who I am. Don't really recommend Alex Jones much. He's gone off the rail, and he's been proven to be a liar on a lot of things. Once you lie to me once, or make a really big blooper, I'm not too inclined to recommend you anymore. That's why I say Megyn Kelly, she's on the line there. She's trying to be on both sides of the fence, telling some truth and selling some whoppers. Thinking of some of the other ones Liberty Vault, that's another good one. I don't know the man's name. He doesn't promote his own program much. He mostly has clips from other people's shows that are in the realm of what I'm talking about. A program called Liberty Vault. Just check all these out if you want. If you don't agree with anything I'm saying, then don't check any of those out, because you're not going to agree with any of them either. Because a lot of the information I get is from them. But I think they have the right... another one. Sabby Sabs, I think her name is. That's her name of her program. Sabby Sabs, S-A-B-S. Sabby Sabs, a black woman. She does a really good job, for the most part. I watch some of her programs or listen to. Again, these are all programs you could listen to, because they're podcasts where basically it's just a talking head like I am right now, where you can just listen to it and you don't need to see anything. That's the idea behind the programs that I'm telling you right now. What are some of the other ones? Those are some of the ones I'd recommend. Those are good starts. Once you start watching some of those programs, the YouTube algorithm will start filling in a lot of blanks for you to find more, if that's what you want to watch. If you don't want to watch that, then fine. Just continue watching the cat videos or or all the AI videos that are coming up now. Gosh, so many AI videos of exploding packages or dancing political figures or whatever. Although this AI is getting terrible. AI is another thing I had mentioned I kind of want to talk about eventually, but AI is something that I'm really worried about. And the data centers going around near where I am here in Michigan, there's going to be the largest data center in the country to be built. And there've been all kinds of opposition. Politicians are going against their own rules. A lot of money being paid off there. Huge data center is going to destroy water wells in the area and make power be much more expensive. I'm building a lithium iron phosphate battery bank right now. I'm building 4 of them right now. And I've been thinking about building other types of battery banks too, experimenting right now. I'm replacing a 12-ton battery bank, a lead acid battery bank. I've been into solar and wind and EVs long before any of this stuff was popular. For more than 4 decades, I've been involved in this EVs, and I could talk about that forever too. I have some programs about it on my channel. EVs, solar, wind, energy, because that's going to be a big thing in the future as well. Somebody says, can't send no one to jail them, then we have to feed them. Urban Odyssey is a good channel. Okay, I don't know that one. Maybe I'll check that one out. Urban Odyssey, that's what somebody says on the chat here, Urban Odyssey. Any others, anybody want to recommend other good channels? I can't say I recommend Urban Odyssey because I have no idea what's on the channel. So it may be good, maybe not. This is just somebody would recommend. Again, I'm repeating this on YouTube because I don't think anybody can see the chat after we're done live here. So I'm repeating it so other people can look it up if they want. Try to think of some of the other ones I listen to. There's a lot of them. And usually most of these will have guests on. And it's usually political. Well, these channels I'm talking about are mostly political. Some based on the U.S., some are based internationally, geopolitics, others just local. And there's all kind of local shows too. Okay, well, I thank everybody for joining me. I think I'll wrap it up now. Continue watching. If I get a lot of response on these, which I don't ever, I would gladly go on here live more. And post more videos. I'd try to find the time. I got a lot of videos I want to post. I have probably 1,000 hours of video footage that I've recorded in my construction projects and a lot of things that I do that I just haven't bothered to put together in video clips to put on the air. YouTube's not worth it for me. And by worth it, I don't mean money, because I don't try to get money. I don't get any new viewership. I don't grow. My channel doesn't grow. It feels pointless to me. I have a video right now I want to make that I've been wanting to make really bad for a long time, but I'm probably going to have to post it on Rumble because it'd be banned off YouTube. And not for any reason that's a legitimate reason, just because I will offend the wrong people. I have the right to offend anybody I want. That's my First Amendment right. Substack. Somebody asks, have I tried Substack? That's a platform, right? That's like a Rumble or I have channels on several of those. Substack isn't one of them. I've heard it, but I've never looked into that. Trying to find one that will do the most good. And right now it seems like Rumble is the number 2 as far as I've been able to see. YouTube has been number 1 for a long time. It's in bad shape. YouTube is a terrible place to be for free speech. So, okay, well, thank you everybody for joining me. This will be posted. Join the comment section down below if you want to add more to anything we're talking about here. Maybe we get a conversation going. But frankly, I only get like 150 to 200 views after I post something, and then it just kind of levels off in flat lines. And so that's why I say it hasn't been worth it to me to stay on YouTube, really, to continue to make videos, try to become relevant, more popular. But if I was too popular, I'd be killed. For all the things I said tonight, I would be killed pretty quickly if I was, or demonized, deplatformed, what do they call it? I'd be very quickly out of this platform. I'd be like a Nick Fuentes, where only a couple places I could go. Nick Fuentes has some good things to say too, but for the most part, half the things he says are crap too. So that's another one. You listen to everybody. I'm not saying don't listen to Nick Fuentes. Listen to him. See if you like what he's saying. You'll agree and disagree. There's not a single person on any of these networks that you will agree with 100%. None of you will agree 100% with what I said. But that's free speech. All right, thank you for joining me. I got to figure out how to shut down here, but I'm shutting down now. There's an X up here, so I guess that's what I'm going to hit. Thanks for joining me. So long. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yes.